how to start a supplement dropshipping Shopify store in 2026. By the end of this video, you'll have a Shopify store created with supplements that you can start to dropship to customers. All right, so my name is Daniel, and I used to work as a Shopify support advisor, where I help literally thousands of merchants with their Shopify store. So let's start. So we're gonna break this video into parts, right? So by the end of the video, you're gonna have a store that looks something like this, right? I just made this in like 15 minutes quickly, right? A quick store where you'll be able to have supplements, right? And start to sell it like this creatine powder, for example, with descriptions and everything that you don't even need to write, right? Everything you'll be given all this information pretty much with the platform that we're going to be using, right? And even these pictures like this will be for you as well, that you'll be able to use. All right, so let's start. So one of the first things you're going to want to do, of course, is start a Shopify store, right? If you haven't done so. So if you haven't done so, you can click the link in the description below, where you'll be able to start a Shopify store for $1 for the next 3 months. So once you create your Shopify store, right, you're going to have something like this, right? So once you have something like this, you're going to need to start to add products, right? And to find supplement products to sell. So for this, we're going to go into a supplement brand that does drop shipping for only Shopify stores that do supplements, right? And it's called Supplyful, if I'm pronouncing it right, right? So we're going to just click it, right? And what I like about this brand, this company, right, you don't even need to worry about like any of like the details, the health details or anything like that, about like, you know, all the paperwork just to sell supplements, right? Because it is like, you know, an industry that, you know, you have to have paperwork and everything. So they handle all this information, and you can start selling all these things, right? You can start selling relax gummies, right? You can start selling immunity drops, or like in the example that I have here, right, you can start to sell creatine hydrogen power, right? So then this is where I found it, right? I literally just took this image and just put it on the demo store for the video. Okay, so now that we have the vendor that we're going to be using to dropship, right, you're going to want to go ahead and create an account, right? I haven't created an account, but once you create your account, right, you'll be able to start to add products. And one of the benefits about this, let's say you want to start selling creatine hydrogen powder, right, you'll be able to get images already to use, right? And the best part is that if you have your own design, right, you'll be able to add it to these product images that they sell, right? So that you don't have to really worry about, you know, creating, you know, product pictures and all that, right? Because, you know, you could just use AI to create the images, like almost like pretty much what they did here, right? And then the next thing what I like about this is that they have all this information for you already, right? So the description, right, you can literally just copy and paste this information into your Shopify store, right? For example, right, this is what I did here, right? I literally just copied and pasted all this information, right? They already did everything they already did all the research, right? And everything what works probably. So yeah, you could just use this, right? You could get a better image. Of course, this just looks blurry. So yeah, once you have that, you'll be able to get a PDF file, and that file you'll be able to upload to your Shopify store, right? When you go to products and you get to add product, right? Import, right? And then from import, you'll be able to add the product to your Shopify store, which just makes it really simple and easy. So once you have your free account, well, not your free account, because this does cost money, right, to use. Once you have your account, right, and you found a product that you want to start to sell, right, what the next thing is, you'll need to add products to your store, which we already went over, right? So again, you don't really need to worry about the description. Just copy and paste the information that they have. You know, if you want to change small things, like maybe the name of it, right, like Alex's creatine hydrogen power, right, something like that, then you could do that, small things. But other than that, you could just use the same description that they already have here for you, which just makes it really easy. Upload any images to the product as well, so that you can, you know, have the images and people can look at the product, right, set the price and everything, are all things that you'll need to do manually. but of course this takes like less than 5 minutes to do, so it should not take you that long to create your first product and add it to your store. So once you've done that, right, you've added the product, next thing you're going to want to do is market the store, right? So you have two things that you could do, two ways you can market your store, right? You could either go into you could either do it organically, right? So what this means is like creating a lot of content, right? Like 10 to 20 videos a day, right? You gotta create TikTok videos, you gotta create Instagram reels, you gotta create YouTube shorts. You know, you gotta just create a lot of content, right? About the single product that you want to sell most of. So let's take the example of just creatine hydrogen power, right? You might want to create a ton of videos about creatine, right? The benefits of using creatine, why you should take creatine, right? You know, busting any myths about creatine, right, as well, right? And then of course just having the link in the video, right, so that people could go ahead and buy your product, right? Now of course doing organically will take time, right? But in the long run, it's probably one of the best ways, because you don't want to just rely on ads, right? Which is going to be the second route that you have, right? So at the start, you might need to go with ads, you know, create some UGC videos, right? You can use AI now, right? If you don't want to be on the camera, right? Use AI, or you could hire somebody on Fiverr, right? To do AGC videos, right? But of course, the only downside of doing UGC by Fiverr or something is that you have to ship the product to the person, right? Which could take a lot longer, right? But if you go with AI, right, there is limited of what they could do, but you could customize the script and everything of what you want to talk about in your videos, right? And then just link your product and start generating sales. But again, that's like short-term thing, right? You could do long-term for ads if you will have the money to spend and go for it. But if you don't, then I recommend you go organic. Of course, it could take you a long time to generate maybe that first sale, right? But you'll have content, you know, where people are just going to come back to it, you know, and check that content out for a long time. So those are your two options right now when you have like, when you want to do drop shipping for supplements, right? Is either do organic, right, or do ads, right? And yeah, just start collecting. One of the biggest things I'll recommend here is like, if you do go with ads, right, or even organic, right, is set up like Shopify email marketing, right? So you want to download the app Shopify messaging, right, which will allow you to capture emails, right, to send to people, right? So let's say, for example, somebody adds this to to their cart, right? They go to checkout, but they don't complete checkout, right? And you have an email abandoned checkout flow. Then you could just send them an email to remind them, hey, like, you forgot to check out, right? And they'll usually check out. Or like if they don't, right, you can send them another email and be like, hey, these are the benefits. Or like you can send them review videos of what people are saying about your creatine as well. So yeah, just different ways that you can generate that first sale for your dropship supplements on Shopify, right? So that's pretty much it. I hope this video was useful for you. Again, you want to check out Supplefull, right? I'm not getting paid by them. So yeah, and you could find a ton of products that you could start to sell, right? They don't have to be creatine, right? You could do hangover strips, right? You could do probably fun TikTok videos for that, right? You could do normal blood sugar support, right? And all these are like, you know, they already did all the work of testing the product and everything. All you have to do is just pretty much do some content and advertising, and you can start generate sales right there. And before I forget, I do send a free weekly newsletter to Shopify store owners, just sharing them tips on what they can do to generate more sales, right? It's just a great way to just learn from somebody who has worked at Shopify. So yeah, I hope this helps, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.